While the core inner sphere is our primary source of business, it never does to neglect that of the minor periphery nations and other unaffiliated systems. While less than 0.25% of the corporate bottom line is affected by these areas, oftentimes new innovations, ideas, and resources can be winnowed out from the recesses of this fringe area. A smart executive just needs to learn to pay attention. When StarCorps Industries is brought up, most people think of their famous mech designs like the Longbow, Highlander, Warhammer, and King Crab. However, this inner sphere spanning megacorporation has production lines that make parts and produce battle mechs of so many different varieties that just going down the list would lull you into a restful nap. Let's just summarize it as StarCorps is a big company. Their history stretches back so far that they were already an established and reliable defense contractor for the Star League Defense Force. The company weathered the succession wars, the clan invasion, and even endured the catastrophic loss of personnel at the hands of the Word of Blake. Yet the company has persisted and continued to grow through the Dark Age and into the dawn of the IlClan era. It's these most recent few decades that we're going to focus on, specifically what is happening on a planet named Sonhoa, which sits on the edge between the Lyran Alliance and Free Worlds League. The second planet in a system around a K05 main sequence star, Sonhoa was quickly identified as a good candidate for colonization after first discovery. It lacked a moon, but had just 3% increased gravity over Terra, a breathable atmosphere, and a temperate 24 degrees centigrade equatorial temperature. Oceans made up 60% of the planet's surface, and the best part was the highest form of native life form was amphibian. Sounds like my sort of planet. While Sonhoa was far from Terra, it held an advantageous position near the edge between House Steiner and the Free Worlds League. Though it was eventually wrapped up into Lyran territory by the beginning of the First Succession War, the industrial products produced there wouldn't have to travel far to see use, especially the weapons and ammunition that were packed into dropships and sent to the front lines. Multiple companies, including StarCorps Industries, built up their lines on Sonhoa, and this even included an extensive site for testing prototype designs. Under the protection of the Lyrans, the population and planetary industries continued to grow. In what is becoming an uncomfortable pattern, Sonhoa suffered greatly at the beginning of the Second Succession War when the forces from the Free Worlds League employed nuclear weapons to wipe out much of the planet's industrial capacity. In time, the damage would be repaired and the industrial sites expanded through the early 31st century. When the clans arrived in the Inner Sphere, the deluge of military contracts led StarCorps to expand their production lines even further. Mechs produced on Sonhoa included the Warhammer, Emperor, and Highlander. Additionally, one of the lines for the Mantifoe Omni tank was located there as well. Unfortunately for both StarCorps and Sonhoa, the Word of Blake would once again bring weapons of mass destruction into play during the kerfuffle. They deployed chemical weapons against the StarCorps site on Sonhoa and managed to kill off the company's board of directors. It threw the company into a panic and disarray for a time, but StarCorps would, once again, outlast an apocalyptic interstellar conflict. Within the first few years of the 32nd century, Sonhoa officially broke its political ties with the Lyran Alliance and became an independent entity. Seeing opportunity, StarCorps decided to invest heavily in the planet with a new production line for a brand new battle mech. By 3104, the universe was graced by the third of the fabled 4 crab battle mechs. The HMC-13 Hermit Crab was designed to meet the needs of periphery powers and small to mid-tier mercenary organizations that needed an agile scout mech that could fill a variety of other needs if push came to shove. Great care was taken by StarCorps engineers to develop the mech in a way that made it easy to keep running with common parts while also maintaining a low price point. The company's marketing team knew that their intended clients needed to maximize the impact of their defense spending. Plus it has pincers, which gets me 95% of the way to the sale, if we're being honest. Throw on the undercoating and a year of free mech washes, and we are golden. With a Hollis Mark III standard chassis and an Omni 175 Fusion engine, the Hermit Crab was off to a good start on remaining affordable. The mech's top speed was just 118 km per hour, which isn't going to outpace the latest and greatest light mechs out there, but it was fast enough to outpace almost all medium mechs and heavier. Agility was improved with the addition of the Chilton 360 jump jets, which pushed the mech's movement profile to a 7-11-7. Forget running, just jump everywhere. The 5 tons of Duralex medium standard plate armor provided 80 points of protection, which was on par with the Mongoose 66, yet a full ton more than the prolific Commando 2D. For a 25-ton mech, having 11 armor on the legs and being able to tank a large pulse laser hit to the side torso without going internal isn't half bad. The mech's underslung arms with a unique hand actuator design allowed for the mech's use in industrial applications, further improving its utility. For armament, again, StarCorps went with reliability and flexibility with a pair of diverse optics ER medium lasers split between the left and right arm. While not a devastating force, the ER medium can hit out to 12 hexes consistently thanks to the mech's 10 double heat sinks. Even when jumping out max distance and firing both lasers, the Hermit Crab cannot overheat. Additionally, without ammunition concerns, it can operate for extended scouting missions without issue. For 2.25 million C-bills, the Hermit Crab was a solid performer. Its flexibility, durability, and crossover with light industrial mech duties made it attractive to clients in the periphery. StarCorps Industries' marketing department stepped up as well, providing gift Hermit Crabs to certain high-profile entities in exchange for ROM footage of the mech in action. Seeing the mech in action, doing everything from lifting construction materials to hunting down pirates, boosted sales further. The company even offered a program for delivery of the battle mech to smaller entities that could not afford to come collect the mechs from the factory. In a few cases, those contractors arrived just in time to deploy the Hermit Crab against attackers, or pirates, or anyone else, which further ingratiated the client to StarCorps for going above and beyond the Call of Duty for a weapons manufacturer. Following the first few years of strong sales, StarCorps Industries announced an upgrade to the Hermit Crab designated the HMC-14. In what amounts to a slight tweak that adds a considerable amount of firepower, the HMC-14 was given 4.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor instead of the standard 5 tons. Another half ton of mass was freed up with the removal of one of the jump jets, dropping the movement profile of the mech down to 7-11-6. That 1 ton of mass was invested in a third ER medium laser, placed in the center torso, pushing the possible damage to 15 from 10 for only a modest decrease in mobility and some slight heat management. It's only slightly more expensive too than the original at 2.31 million C-bills. In 3108, a third variant designated the HMC-15 was introduced, which took the bold route of pulling the mech's jump jets entirely, using the 4.5 tons of ferrofibrous from the previous variant and spending the resulting mass on a pair of light PPCs split between the arms. The new movement profile of 7-11-0 is a significant downgrade in exchange for the ability to hit out to 18 hexes with the same damage profile of the original Hermit Crab. In all but the flattest terrain, I do not think that the additional range with the light PPCs was worth pulling the jump jets. There are better options out there for creating a longer range build. Of the 3 official Hermit Crab variants, the 15 is a miss, but the 13 and 14 are solid. Deployment of the Hermit Crab since it was first released has been widespread across periphery nations, even reaching as far as the Taurian Concordat on the far side of the Inner Sphere. It's also a popular mech with small mercenary companies. Unfortunately, it's also been salvaged or stolen by less than reputable characters, as there are a few unflattering battle ROMs floating around showing the Hermit Crab in the employ of pirate raiding organizations. I suppose it cannot be helped. I did tinker a bit and come up with a totally unofficial Mech Frog variant seeking to keep up with the theme of an energy build that is still quite mobile. I did upgrade the engine to an XL and went with the 4.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor, which gave me a few extra tons to play with. Considering the 13 and 14's short and mid-range punch, I wanted to take my swing at creating a longer range build that didn't resort to light PPCs like the 15. Instead, I placed just a single ER large laser into the right arm with an emotional support small pulse laser in the left arm. While this is just 80% of the damage of the 15 variant, it is concentrated and can reach out to 19 hexes over the light PPC 18. The MF also retains all 7 jump jets, maintaining that 7-11-7 movement profile, which I think is worth it just at the cost of 2 points of damage each turn. However, this all may boil down to preference and cost. Megamech says the Hermit Crab MF will run you at 3.46 million C-bills. Those XL engines are not cheap. So why do we love the Hermit Crab? It's a tough question because the immediate instinctual response is that it's adorable, and of course it deserves all the love we have to give. More rationally, it's a function of economical and realistic mech design that looks like it could be successful as a scout mech or as an industrial tool. Now before we go, I do want to use my modest soapbox to put out the call for the last of the crab-themed mechs. We need the heavy class crab, and we need it yesterday. The 75-ton mech, possibly named the Stone Crab, could fill a vital role as a swift hunter-killer, possibly with a couple of plasma rifles in the arms. Just tossing ideas out there, CGL. Let's get on this. If you haven't yet had the opportunity to run a Hermit Crab, I would thoroughly recommend it. For those of you who already have, how did it go? Which do you think is the best variant? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming out as I blathered on about BattleTech today. If you enjoyed the video and feel it's worthy, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so that YouTube algorithm smiles upon me. To those who go the extra step to become channel members, you rock, I appreciate it. Even a modest membership goes a long way to keeping this all running. Until we meet again, take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.